Hello, and welcome to the Diaries of Ordinary People, the podcast that brings you raw, unfiltered, and honest stories from everyday experiences. I'm your host, Ash, and each episode we dive into personal diaries and journals to uncover the heartfelt moments and challenges that connect us all. So, whether you're commuting, taking a break, or just winding down, join us as we explore real and authentic lives. This is the Diaries of Ordinary People. Hi Zach, how you doing?
Oh, I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, really good.
That's good.
It's really nice to have you on.
Oh, thank you for having me on. This is
No
quite a
worries.
privilege and pleasure. I'm stoked to be here.
You're far too kind.
Oh,
So I think I just want to kind of get straight into it with you.
mm-hmm.
What have your past 12 months looked like?
Absolutely mind-blowing, really. Like, I moved across the world.
Yeah.
From Oz to the UK. I've been living, working, traveling here. I've seen a lot, done a lot, and it's been such an amazing experience. I would not trade it for anything. I've met so many cool people, seen so many interesting things, learnt so much about the world and just life in general, that this has been such an amazing experience. And I'm so glad that I've done it after wanting to do so for so many years. So yeah, no, I don't know, like, I'm here on a podcast with you. I've worked in a bagel shop and learned how to make bagels. I've been to Auschwitz and seen like the atrocities. Like I've seen and done so much, and I'm so glad I've done it, no matter how much it costs, no matter how much time it takes. Like, it's really just amazing, and I love it.
Why did you come from Australia to the UK? What was the draw? It's not hotter.
Yeah. I know. I'm like, you'd be surprised at how many people genuinely ask me this question. And for me, it's such a stupid question to ask. And that's not anything against it. But if you think about where I'm from in Australia, right? Australia is an island in the middle of the ocean, so segregated from the rest of the world, that if I was to travel to the UK, to the Netherlands, to France, to Spain, they'd all be the same flight around about that would take like almost a day, same amount of money, which is almost like $1,000 or more. And then that's not even for a return flight. That's just for a flight there, where I can go to the UK, base myself here for like 2 years on a visa, and then work and gain experience, not in just life, but in my job, but then also get to see parts of Europe for only like, what, 50 quid on an EasyJet flight? You know? So as much as like, it doesn't seem desirable to the typical depressed UK man to be like, oh, why you come to the rainy UK? But it's like,
That was a good accent.
That's fucking horrible. But like, but for me, I'm able to experience things so much easier if I base myself in the UK. But also, I love my job and I love what I do, and I love helping people because I'm a radiographer, just X-rays and stuff. If people don't know, I'm not a DJ. I've had when I was when I was previously single, I had a girl ask me if I was a DJ, and I was like,
spinning tunes on the radio.
But no, I do CTs, X-rays, and stuff like that. So it's not a completely different kettle of fish compared to Australia, but still experiencing like the NHS over here and stuff like that. It looks good for my resume. It's good for my work experience and like what I've learned. So that was like a big draw. To then be able to come back to Australia and be like, I've done 2 years in the UK. This is what I've done. And they go, wow, that's awesome. But then also the traveling aspect, seeing more of the world before I like hunker down, buy a house, have kids and stuff like that. So those were like, I guess, the major draws for me.
And how do you think your kind of job, or so how do you think your doing radiography in Australia is different to doing it in the UK?
It's not like insanely different, which is good, because I don't have to like sit an exam or a test to be able to work here. Like say if I went to Canada, but like, I guess there's certain things that I would do in Australia that I don't do here, or stuff that I do here that I wouldn't do in Australia, and stuff like that. Like checking like for pregnancy is different. Like they go, oh, if it's pretty much your abdomen area that you're scanning over, that's the only time you need to. If it's like over that or around it, you don't need to ask women if they're pregnant, or like doing one view for a chest x-ray, which I know is really like interesting, or like weird really. But in Oz, it's like kind of mandatory that you do two, and then you come over here and they go, oh no, it's only one. It's like, oh, okay, cool. So those are like, I guess, like major differences. Otherwise, there's no real big differences, which is good because I don't have to like go, oh god, there's such a disparity in my like in my skills. Then I'm like, oh, okay, I have to catch up. This is crazy. But no, there's not much, which has been really easy for me and really nice, I guess.
Cool. Is there a cultural difference?
Could you specify about the cultural difference, I guess?
So you mentioned earlier, as a very general term, that your average depressed UK male. And it kind of, when you said it, my brain went, oh, so that means that in Oz they're, average ecstatic males.
I guess you'd find like the Australian like can-do attitude of like, oh yeah, she'll be right. Like I can do this, I can do that. Like a lot more people are kind of like, yeah, no, I can do this.
Like just more generally positive.
Yeah, more not just like more generally positive, but I actually no, it is probably just that. But also like more willing to give something a go. Like even if they've got like a fractured leg, they'll be like, yeah, no, I'll stand up. It's like, no, mate, don't stand up. Don't get up. Where like someone will be like, no, I'm not getting up. It's like, I'm not asking you to get up. I'm asking you if you want me to do the X-ray. That sort of thing. I guess, but like it's just a generalization too. Like it doesn't mean anything, but yeah, I guess like well, people are like, oh yeah, no, like I can do this, I can do that. Where people from the UK are like, I've been told to go back home and fuck off from where I'm from.
Wow,
which was quite funny. I was like, and he was an old bloke too, he was drunk, and I was just like, mate, if you're
Are you like x-raying him as he says it kind of thing?
Yeah, like I was meant to be doing a CT on him and he wasn't staying still. And so I was like, mate, can you please stay still? He's like, fuck off, you fucking twat. And I was like, you go back home to your country. And I was just like to him, dude, if your mates didn't colonise my country and send criminals there, I wouldn't be here. So that's kind of on you, bro. And he's like, fuck off. And I was like, okay.
Sophisticated answer.
Yeah. And he was drunk, so he's like, fuck off. And I was like, oh, okay, whatever.
Yeah, can't win, can you?
Yeah, I was just like, okay, cool. Your scan's crap. The doctor's going to be angry that I've done the scan this way, but like, you're pissed. So, oh well.
You got to deal with it.
Yeah, exactly.
What's your kind of, your first kind of, when you first came over to the UK, what was your first kind of like, ooh, that's interesting?
There was a few things actually, like as I explained to you earlier, like the sun, because like the sun kind of like rises and sets. Yeah. So like in Australia, it goes up at like 5 or 6 a.m. and it sets at 5 or 6 a.m. You get 12 hours of sun and that's it, and it's fine. But when like I was adjusting from like jet lag, and it's like 10 o'clock at night and the sun's still up in the middle,
just beaming,
and I'm like, how am I meant to sleep? Like, what's going on? So that was like a big thing. Seagulls, funnily enough. So like here, like, in Australia, people are like, oh, every animal can kill you, oh, it's dangerous, like our seagulls are so tame compared to here. Like Australian seagulls are so much smaller and get so much scareder if you like try and like run them or like just even move your foot, step in their direction, they'll bugger off. Where like the ones in the UK, they'll stand there and be like, yeah, what? Or like they'll just take your food out of your hands. Like the seagulls in Australia will wait until like you leave it and then go for it. Like they're cowards. These ones are way more bold. That was like another thing. Like I literally watched as like my girlfriend's dad like just went, oh no one wants this extra donut, and he just put it on his head and just waited for a seagull just go bang and hit it. Yeah, it was funny as. So that was something. I think like the drinking culture is a bit different. Like I've never, like in Oz, I guess like people go harder when drinking. So like they'll only drink like typically on like Friday, Saturdays and then recover on Sunday so they can work on a Monday. where like I've never like seen people or pubs so busy on a Tuesday afternoon. I'm like, what the hell is going on? You know, like what? You guys are meant to be working tomorrow. How are you guys drinking 10 beers and then showing up to work? What? I mean, also like I guess I learnt a lot more about like, because I mean England's been around for longer than I guess Australia in quotation marks has been Australia, right? Because Australia was only found in like the 1780s, and like England has been England for so long,
quite a while.
So like going to see like castles and stuff like that, and I guess that goes back to the other question that you talked about with like, why would you come to the UK? You guys like don't understand what you have in terms of like you have these great magnificent castles and such rich history of all these cool things that happened, even though like most of it's just colonizing and stuff, but that's besides the point. But like yeah, like the history in the castles, or like your kings and queens and stuff like that. Like, we don't have kings and queens in Australia. We only look at the monarchy from like here because we're still a part of the Commonwealth, but you know, it's what it is. But yeah, like I guess those are major things. I guess
I'm quite intrigued about your kind of your childhood growing up in Oz and that kind of stuff. Like, well, I mean, I've known you for a while. I don't think I've ever asked, but like, no. What's kind of like your first memory?
First memory?
Yeah.
I mean, it's probably not my first memory, but a memory that sticks with me.
Yeah.
Is like a corner shop. So I used to walk live a 15-20 minute walk away from like a corner store which would sell lollies or sweeties. Yet again, going back to another question, the differences in like language for things. Like I would go like, oh yeah, just get a bag of lollies, and people look at me like, what are you talking about? Oh, sweeties. Oh yeah, sure. You know, like then they understand. It's like there's different language words. So I'd go get like some lollies, and how it'd be in this like plastic sort of multi-leveled window. It's not a window, it's like on a counter. I
know what you mean, yeah.
Yeah, and like a bunch of lollies in there, and you could get like a big bag of lollies for like $3, 3 AUD, and you just get like a big bag of lollies. And I'd just be eating them on the way home and stuff like that. And it was such a fun time. And like going into parks and like kicking around like a football, but like not an English football, but like an Australian rules football, or like a rugby league ball with like my dad and my little brother and stuff like that. That's probably like big memories for me. And like going to, I have like such a fond memory of, you remember Blockbusters, right?
I do.
Yeah, I love Blockbusters. So every Sunday it'd be, my mum would be at work and my dad wouldn't be working. So my dad would look after us and always take us we'd go to the beach in the morning, and like I'd do boogie boarding with like a $2 like boogie board and always take out people's legs and stuff. And then after that, we'd dry ourselves, we'd go to this fish and chip shop called Luca's, and Luca was such a lovely bloke, and he was awesome. His fish and chips were amazing, and this fish and chip shop was like 2 minutes away from the beach, so I'd pretty much just walk with my family, go get like $5 worth of chips, which would be like a metric fuck ton, so to speak. It was like huge. Or we'd go to this bakery and get like a loaf of like this pizza bread. Or there was another bakery where we'd get like pies and sausage rolls, and there was this toothless Indigenous woman that would like serve us, and she was always the best to us. Like she was so kind and so patient with me trying to handle this money and trying to work up the courage to be like, can I please get this pie? And she was so beautiful. Or get like a meringue from her and stuff like that. And then we'd go to Blockbusters, get a movie we're only ever allowed to get weeklies because getting the one nightlies was always way too expensive. And then get a movie that my dad has seen like when he was younger, like Indiana Jones or something. And then we'd go home, my dad would fall asleep while we're watching the movie, and me and my little brother would just be like eating these like fish and chips or whatever we got. And it was such like it was such the best time. And God, take me back. But now Lucas has gone after COVID because it got bought out and Luca died.
Oh.
Yeah, The bakery that I mentioned that had like the meat pie sausage rolls and the Toothless Woman. It's now run by like Vietnamese people, but they sell banh mi, so it's fine. And I love a banh mi. But yeah, like that. Those are probably like my quintessential like memories of living in Australia and living on the Gold Coast where I'm from.
So where did your want or kind of love or kind of passion for radiography come from?
That's a really funny story, that actually. Because I originally wanted to be like a paleontologist. I watched like Jurassic Park and I was like, that stuff's cool, right? Yeah.
My dad had watched it 20 years ago.
Yeah, so he'd fallen asleep, so I was like, and my eyes are just opening wide. I'm like, dude, we can create dinosaurs from this stuff? What the hell?
Yeah.
Spielberg, you're a genius. And so I was going to be a paleontologist, and one day I was getting an x-ray, and my dad, he works in a hospital. He's an orderly or a wardsman, so he would porter people around the hospital and stuff like that. He was with me when I was having the x-ray. I was waiting. And my dad's like, hey, Zach, see that guy over there? It was one of my dad's mates. He's like, look what he's doing. He was literally on YouTube watching like surfing highlights. And my dad's like, so you see how you just had the x-ray? And the x-ray took like a minute. And I was like, oh, what the hell? And it was over. And so I was just waiting for the film to be processed. And Dad's like, so you see how easy it is to just take an x-ray? Look what you can do in your downtime. And I was like, yo, what? And then my dad's like, and you get paid a bit. I was like, sign me the hell up. And this was like when I was like probably 13, like 12, 13.
Wow.
And then, so I kind of went, okay, cool. I'll study hard and get to that. And then the more I like looked into it, and the more I grew up through high school, the more I realized that I really wanted to help people. But being a doctor, I felt like it was too full on. And I even thought about becoming a doctor after becoming a radiographer. But I found that I just cared too much and would blame myself for too many things that were probably out of my control. And so I found solace in the fact that I could help patients by helping doctors, by taking an image that a doctor can read and then help a patient. So I'm like doing like a double help. It's a super help kind of thing. So I was like, oh yeah, I can still help people. And I really enjoy helping people and putting smiles on faces. So like when people come into my x-ray room or come in for a CT and they're coming in, they're upset, they're like, you know, or they're angry with stuff and they can leave with a smile and they're laughing or whatever, I know I've done a good job. So yeah, that's where it came from.
That's really nice.
Yeah, thanks, man.
What kind of passions or hobbies that you had when you were younger do you still have now?
Yu-Gi-Oh! But also playing football. Like being able to say I'm playing football in the UK is awesome, and I love that. So,
how different are the rules?
Not very.
Okay, that's fine.
Still the same, but I guess people are just better. I mean, like also the pitches here are just better quality. So I'm not receiving a ball that's like boggled 3 times before it hits my feet. So my control isn't whack. But yeah, so like football, Yu-Gi-Oh, silly things like Pokemon, like the video games and stuff like that still hold a very, very treasured place in my heart. Yeah, really, I guess like those sorts of things are real hobbies that I have and still have to this day.
Have any new ones formed since you've kind of grown up?
I guess like I wasn't as interested in sports, so like football was kind of like my least favorite, but I still liked it. And then as I got older and realized my fitness and stuff like that was probably something I should be switched in onto, I kind of went, no, like football and exercise and like working out kind of came to the forefront more. But I'm in no way am I jacked or like a full gym junkie or anything. But like just enough to keep me like lean and fit and feeling good about myself. So like I guess those ones have developed a bit more. Otherwise, like silly things like doing the Wordle, Quirtle, and connections. Those are little hobbies I like to do. Like me and my girlfriend, we do the connections, the mini, and the strands on the New York Times thing like every day, and it's like a cute thing that we do together, and we always work through it together, so it's more fun.
Nice.
So, yeah. So like stuff like that, I guess. Yeah.
So you've kind of made it quite clear that you like to make others happy, which
Yes.
is commendable.
Thank you. Thank you.
What kind of other core values do you think you have?
That is a really good question. I think like respect for each other and for myself and for others, like regardless of where they're from, anything like that. Like just also like telling people that you love them too, I guess, if you can count that as a core value. But I feel like, you know, like as men, even like in Australia, or I don't know if it's the same in the UK, but like, you know, telling someone you love them used to be like, oh, it's so gay, bro, what the hell, and stuff like that. But now that I'm comfortable with myself and everyone else is comfortable with themselves, and we've gone past that point where like being called gay is like a slur, people are like proud to be like, heck yeah, I'm gay, and like that's cool. But like telling my friends I love them, like I love doing that and letting them know that like I care and that I'm there. You know, I guess that's like a core value, is like not shying away from being honest. I guess that's probably a more accurate way to put it. Being honest with people. Yeah, I think that's like probably the only thing I can think of off the top of my head. That was a very good question.
Where's that come from?
I don't know. Like I just, because like, you know, you always have like friends.
Yeah.
You know, like, and they know that you're friends, but they know that you really, really care. Like, do you love them? Like, and being able to be like, don't shy away from telling someone that you're happy to have them in your life.
Yeah.
You know, because like, you know, you never know what that could mean for somebody.
Yeah, you're right. I think lots of people shy away from being honest or kind of telling people how they feel.
Yeah. So being able to say like to your friend, like, hey bro, I really appreciate it. Like, I love you. Like, I say it to my friends, you know, that, like, as much as I'm countries away, but still, even when I was in front of them and I'd just go and hang out with them for the day, and like I'd be leaving them to go back home or whatever, I'd be like, love you bro, safe travels, see you soon, stuff like that, you know, like I love you too. And it's like, yeah, that's cool. Like, not just telling people that like your immediate family or like significant others that you tell them that you love them, but like make sure that your friends know too.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I think it's really important. I've started doing it, just telling my mates like, I love you, bro. Like,
yeah, it's a simple thing, and sometimes it's really hard to say because you just don't want to be seen as like, oh, dude, cringe. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I see you on that.
Yeah, when it's like, no, it's not cringe, dude. It's actually awesome to be like, yeah, bro, you love me? I love you too, man. Get over here, give him a hug. No, don't just shake their hand, give him a hug.
Yeah.
You know? It's turned homoerotic, goddamn, bro.
I've been really wanting to ask you this question, but I've been kind of keeping off of it a little bit.
Okay.
So you're currently working in a private hospital?
Yes.
With the current situation in the world, or specifically in the UK at the moment, I guess, but the world in general.
The anticipation is killing me, Ash.
I'm good at it. Like, I'm going to relate it to like NHS and private.
Yes.
How do we solve, from your perspective, it's a big question.
Yeah.
From your perspective, the current situation?
I mean, it's tough. Like, realistically, it shouldn't have got to this point. Like, it 100% shouldn't have got to this point.
And what's, in your view, what is this point?
Well, where people have, like, wait lists of over a year to try and get help and stuff like that. Like, by the time that they need help, they could be dead or worse. Who knows? Don't know if there's anything worse
than that, yeah.
But, like, I guess, suffering with, like, something they shouldn't have to be suffering with. To think that, like, this is a first world country, but a lot of people can't receive the help that they want is pretty crazy. Or if they do want to, there's such a price hiked up on it if they don't have private health. Or they have to pay for private health on top of, like, this cost of living crisis, which is insane. But I don't know. Like, it's such a struggle to, like, want to help people. Like, in Australia, I worked in the private only. And I'd be on call. But I'd have to, when I'm on call, I'd have to ask these people if they're willing to pay. They could be having, like, So before they're having, like, a scan to find out whether, like, their aorta's dissected, or like if they've got like a fractured arm, I have to get them to try and sign something with their busted arm to be like, hey, do you mind paying for this? Which I used to hate doing because I just want to be able to help these people.
Is like healthcare different in Australia?
Not overly. It's very similar. Like we do have private and public sectors. I feel like the private sector is not as... But then again, I had private health. So like I don't know what it's like for other people in Australia, and I shouldn't really comment on that. But for me, it was quite easy to get into private hospitals, and because I worked in one, I know I could get free healthcare and stuff like that because I worked there and I knew people and I knew the doctors and stuff like that. But I don't know if it's as difficult to get into a private hospital or if it is that expensive comparatively. I'm not sure. And I feel like, I guess the wait lists might be shorter in our public sector. I'm not sure if they're going to get to the, not nuclear, but like bad levels that are like here. Like, but I feel like it is a little bit better in Australia from what I've seen personally. Like I still remember my first day when I worked in the NHS here, and I was just settling in, and a doctor came to me with a referral and said, "This is what's going on with this patient." I'm like, "Sure, no worries. Where are they?" And they said, "Oh, corridor 4." I'm like, "Sorry, what?" Like, corridor 4. And I didn't know what that meant. I was like, what does that mean? And because there's people out in the corridors, I'm like, is there a specific corridor that says number 4? Like, what does that mean? And it turns out it meant there's numbers on beds that have just been like literally a piece of A4 paper from a printer that someone's drawn 4 on it and slapped on with tape at the front of the bed. That's what corridor 4 meant. But then I ran into a problem where there wasn't just one corridor 4, there was like 3. And I still had to figure out who it is. And some of these people are like either unconscious, incoherent, demented, or unable to tell me who they are in any way, shape, or form. And I was like, damn, what am I going to do here? Eventually I found them, but I was like, and that was my first day on the job, and I was like, what is going on here? Other days I was trying to walk around people that were just peeing out their bed because they asked to try and go to the bathroom from a nurse, and this nurse has got like 20 other people that she's having to help, and one of them is dying, the other one needs like bloods taken, and this one's just gone, I need to pee, and they couldn't wait for like someone to give them something to pee in or to take them to the bathroom, so they're just peeing off the side of their bed. And I'm having to avoid it with a bed with another patient on it as I'm trying to take him for a CT scan. It was shocking. And even like, I remember still in the corridor 4 thing, it's like, okay, I found where corridor cubicle 1 is. But in cubicle 1, there's 3 different beds in there, all with families around it. And I have to play like human Jenga or Tetris to try and get to the right person, bring him out of their cubicle to take him in for a scan, and then move everything back, and then try and bring it back. But now I try and bring it back, and somebody else is in their spot, and I don't know where I'm going to put them now, and I have to try and find a nurse to tell them, hey, where do I put this person? Or I've put this person here, that's where they are. If you can try and tell somebody that. But then this nurse, yet again, has like 5 other different things on her plate. Is she going to remember that? Don't know. So yeah, I mean, the NHS here is a culture shock, and it really was. And I was so surprised by it. But I feel like if I can work in those environments, I can work anywhere. So that's always a positive, right? But what would help the NHS now, like as support, shouldn't have got to this point. But I guess money injected into it would be nice, because then they can fund more things like build better places or get more scanners in or try and pay their workers at least a decent wage for what they do, because these guys are honestly incredible and they do so much hard work.
Yeah.
Like, and it drives them to the brink, and it's so tough. And I've seen a lot of nurses stressing out, and even I myself as a radiographer would be stressing out by the amount of things I had to do and things I'd have to deal with. But like the day ends, you go home, you get paid. But I think that these people definitely deserve more. And then as much as we can inject money into it, it still takes time to like hire new people, bring new scanners in, build and develop these wards and stuff like that, train people up that are new recruits and stuff. So maybe making it more enticing to people to jump ship and try and become a nurse, become a healthcare assistant, become a doctor. Like those poor junior doctors that are having to fight for their rights just to get paid decently for being a doctor, for helping people. It's nuts. But will that change? I'm not sure. Will that make a difference? It might, but just it's going to take time and patience, and I'm not sure that the people here have the patience for it because they've been so left in the lurch for so long, and it's heartbreaking. But at least maybe it's a look in the right direction to try and inject money into it, fund it, support these guys so that they can do their job correctly and help you, myself, and others around and try and get people off that waiting list for their healthcare, I guess. That's probably the best response I can think of.
Do you think obviously from how you've explained it, like, and me not being anywhere near that sector, you could kind of, you know a lot more than I do about that sort of stuff. Like, and again, I think this question is really hard to answer, but if you were to kind of narrow it down to like, what do you think the one fundamental problem or like the current worst situation is there? Like, because you spoke about waiting lists right at the start being like a year long, and I can't imagine that waiting a year to have something like to get a scan on like a broken rib or something, like,
or like even like a torn ACL. Like, you not only to find out whether you've got an ACL tear, but like even get surgery on it and stuff like that. Who knows? I don't know how long these lists are, but I know they are long. I know they are very long. And it's like, that's tough. And it's like, also it's like, okay, do you jump in front of the person that like really might be like suffering a stroke and needing like to get that stroke dealt with? But still those people deal with that in such quick time, and I'm shocked by how quickly they deal with that sort of stuff. But you know what I mean? That's tough. But I mean, I'm not sure if there's one fundamental problem. I guess if the public had a bit more patience towards it, instead of just like going to a GP, I can't get in there. And it's been like, no, I need to go to a GP. I'll try my best to get into one.
Oh, and then potentially be referred to.
Yeah, or something like that. Or even like waiting in A&E and going like, oh, I've given myself a cut, stuff waiting in this A&E, I've got stuff to do, I've got a job to do and stuff like that. I mean, but there shouldn't be these wait times anyway, so I can understand how people are fed up with it. I'm not sure if like sending these people for free to private sectors that maybe like, yet again, this injection of money, if there was to be an injection of money, you can like then pay private hospitals to try and shave off some of this. And I know some places are doing that, or they're like filtering out people to private companies. And hopefully this doesn't lead to like the whole privatization of the NHS, because that would be horrible, because then people can't afford it. But at least the NHS paying another hospital to take people for scans and stuff like that, which hopefully can mitigate things. But more hospitals doing that and having the money to actually pay these private hospitals to do that, or private imaging clinics or anything else, you know, like getting people seen privately more accessibly, I guess. But I guess like the one thing that is the problem is probably like the waiting times, really, and how to solve that, I guess, is like with the things I've just previously mentioned. Hopefully there might be other simple ones that I'm not thinking of, because I'm not dealing with that sort of thing. I'm just a cog in the machine. But yeah.
And you also you mentioned your time in like NHS hospitals. So you've worked in 2 different ones?
Yes, I've worked in 2.
How did you manage that? Like, just from how you explained, even that very kind of corridor 4 situation, like, to me, I don't think I could do that. Like, how can you stay like calm and level-headed in those situations?
I mean, I've been a radiographer for a few years now. This is coming up to my 5th or 6th year of being a radiographer. And I worked in the private sector in Australia, but the private sector in Australia, for radiographers at least, you're kind of thrown in the deep end a bit more, because they expect more of you instead of being in the public. And I would spend, if I was still if I worked in the public system, I'd still be doing X-ray. I wouldn't be anywhere near CT, or I wouldn't be as far in CT as I am now. Where like when I started working at this private hospital that I worked at, they were literally getting me to do cardiac scans by myself, and I'd never done them before. I had to think about it on the fly. So I guess like I've always had this kind of swim mentality when thrown into the deep end. I don't sink, I just swim. You know, she'll be right kind of thing. Just be like, yep, no, I've got this. I can do it, and just coast. And just trying to be like, especially like for patients that you deal with, like no matter how horrible the situation is. I got taught when I was at uni by a lovely, lovely lecturer. She was amazing. She's actually is British and she's living here currently. She moved back. So I might have to try and visit her. Hazel, she was incredible, but she told me no matter what happens, you leave everything at the door, and every time you leave your room and grab another patient, it's a new person, and you treat them with the same respect and the same diligence that you would anybody else, regardless of how busy it is, what's going on in your personal life, or what's going on right now at the hospital. You've just got to do it right by that person. And I mean, I've kept that with me ever since I was like a year one student, and now I'm like a 5th, 6th year fully fledged radiographer, and being able to be like, no, it's calm. If as soon as I get this patient done, I'm on to the next. I'm not worrying about too much, or being like, okay, I've got 3 scans to do. This is level of importance. What time were they in? How can I manage this? And just keeping a cool head about it, I guess. Just systemic attack to everything and treating people the same regardless of what's going on. And just remembering that, like, even if I just have seen this person that's like got cancer, or like is probably going to lose an arm or something, not letting that disparage or discourage me to the next person that's like just had a fall drunk. You know, like going, no, they deserve the same respect regardless, because in their own world something horrible has happened to them.
Is there anyone else you look up to, or you kind of have learnt lessons from that you've kept with you? So you mentioned Hazel there. But...
Yeah. I mean, a lot of my lecturers were really lovely women. They were awesome, and they were so, so great. Like, I learnt so much from them. And then even like radiographers that I worked with out in the field, like I've taken bits and pieces from them to kind of like go, no, this is what I want to do. And I mean, my parents have showed me so much love and care, and like knowing that I can pass it on to people, just like little bits, just like you give them a smile, a little wave, or like you take that extra little second just to show that you care, and it means so much to somebody. Like, I've driven people to tears, patients, and it's like, they haven't even found out something horrible, but I'm like, God, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to. Like, I literally told this patient the other day the story of how I got my name, and she started crying. She's like, that's so beautiful. I'm like, oh my God, please, I'm sorry. And it was so bad. My parents are important, my lecturers, even my girlfriend. She's such a patient person, and she's so fantastic, and I just have learnt so much from her, even though we've been together for like 3 years almost now. That's like, I've learnt so much from just being around her and being like, no, this is okay. I can deal with this, or like, I shouldn't get riled up about this. Like, it's not going to affect me that much. Just having the patience and the time to like settle down. So that also helped a lot. And I guess getting older, experience, and seeing the world, a bunch of different workplaces that I've worked in, just being like, no, this is like, everything's okay. No one's going to die.
So. And how are you finding where you are now? So you're living in London and working in London, right?
Yes.
In the private sector.
Yes.
How's that?
Phenomenal. Like, I mean, if you told 5-year-old me you'd be living in London and working in a hospital, like a private hospital, which is one of the most biggest ones in London, where I deal with a lot of rich people, a lot of famous people, you would have told you're joking, right? Like, what? But I want to be a Power Ranger. What are you talking about? So, like, I mean, it's insane to think about where I am now and what I'm doing and what I've seen and what I've done. And I never take that for granted. And it's just great. Like, I love London. I love what I do. I love the people I've met, like yourself and all the other boys. So yeah, I feel like I've come a long way, but it's from where I'm now, standing where I am now, I'm looking back, just going, wow, can't believe I'm doing this. Can't believe I'm here.
And what's it like living in London? Like, kind of almost feels like the centre of the world.
You're not wrong there. Like, I mean, in Australia, things are like a bit more spread out.
Just
like,
a wee bit, yeah.
Just a little bit. I mean, you can fit like, what, I don't know how many of the UK is in Australia.
Where, I reckon like 20 or 30 easy.
I mean, I went to uni 14 hours away from my home. And I guess, like, if you drive 14 hours in the UK, you've pretty much done a round trip, right?
Yeah, you've probably got to the other side.
Yeah. Like, so, like, living the hustle and bustle in London is mental. It still takes an hour to get anywhere, which is bonkers, even though it's, like, in a car, like, 5 minutes away. But still, the traffic is, like, mental. Or, like, the foot traffic is still mental. But living in London is really, really eye-opening. Like, it's busy, but it's cool. And a lot of interesting people live there. And I've found a lot of cool places. Like, tomorrow I'm going for a guided tour around London, just because, and then going to this really excellent Japanese restaurant for lunch at Borough Market called Toe. But I'm, like, super keen on that.
Nice.
Yeah. So, there's still... I don't know. I've lived there for, like, what, almost 6 months now? I still feel like I have barely touched it. Like, there's so many places in London I haven't gone to, or things I haven't experienced, or things I'm still experiencing now. Like, only just recently, like a month or two ago, went to West End and got to watch, like, plays. Like,
How would you say you've adapted to... So, before you moved to London, you lived in Hastings for a while.
Yes.
And, like, how do you think you've adapted to kind of, like, the current situation, like, that's going on? So, obviously, we've got all the rioting, and we've got all, like, the cost of living crisis and such. Like, how has that affected you, or have you seen it affect London as well?
Oh, I mean, like, Hastings reminds me more of my home, because it is a coastal town, and the Gold Coast, like, it is a coastal town.
It's part of the coast,
yeah. So it reminds me a lot of home, but I feel like the Gold Coast is certainly busier in certain places.
Concentrated.
Yeah, it's more like concentrated in certain parts, but this, I feel like, still, it's the same sort of thing, I guess. So, like, Hastings is kind of similar to home, so I got kind of eased in to living in the UK quite well, and moving to London, where there's a lot more going on and stuff like that. Like, there's still a cost of living crisis, and I've been extremely lucky that it hasn't really affected me, because my girlfriend has family or family friends here that have been so generous enough to give us cheap accommodation or not let us pay a cent. So I luckily haven't felt that, and that's nuts. And I'm completely thankful, like so thankful for it, because it gives me more opportunity to save money and then go on holidays and stuff like that. But I understand that's hit a lot of people hard, and, like, still the exchange rate from Australian dollars to British pounds is mental. Like, it's essentially double. Like, whatever you think about in pounds, you double it and it's Australian dollars. And even, like, the riots, like, I luckily haven't seen any of them yet. I mean, I've seen them on the news and stuff, and thank God I haven't had to deal with the crazy idiots. But yeah, I mean, like, I've seen a bit. Luckily, hadn't had to experience things that others have experienced, and I'm very glad and very fortunate that I have experienced and got to experience these things the way I have. But I understand that it isn't like that for everyone else, and I really hope that they're okay. Stuff, I guess.
Is there anything you're kind of really looking forward to in the future for you?
I mean, I'm going on a big trip. I mean, I'm going to Ireland, like, soon at the end of the month. I know it's not that far, but still, like, that's cool. I get to go to Ireland.
True.
Trying to fly to Ireland from Australia, as I said before, it's like almost 24 hours, man. And it's over $1,000, and that's not a return flight. So I'm very keen on getting to go there for a week and experience Ireland and get a spice bag. Yo, they look so good. Have you seen them?
No.
Dude, it's like spiced like hot chips with like veggies and all in a brown bag and with curry sauce. Dude, it looks phenomenal. I'm beside myself for it. I'm so keen for that. And then one of my mates from Australia is coming. He's my best mate from Oz, at least. Because I made a lot of good mates here, but still,
Good save.
So he's coming in September, and he wants to see as much as he can before he heads back to Australia. So I'm doing a massive trip going to like the Netherlands, Poland, Slovenia, Croatia, Greece, Italy, France, Denmark,
all over Europe,
Scotland. Yeah, we're doing the whole thing, and I'm so excited for that. And just generally what the future holds for me here. Like, what else is going to happen? Like, where am I going to work next? What am I going to do? Who am I going to teach? What am I going to get taught? How am I going to further myself as a person? Like, I'm so excited.
Wow, that's really, really cool. Do you have any regrets or anything of the sort?
No, not really. I mean, I regret I didn't do this sooner. But the COVID got everyone. So I literally planned, like when I was in Australia, I was like, 2 years there and I'm out. And of course, during the first year, suddenly COVID hit and I was like, oh well. So it was like, oof, guess I can't be a part of this now and come over here. But now I'm here. So I don't really have any regrets. I'm just so glad and so fortunate and feel so lucky that I am where I am.
All right, so blue sky thinking.
Yeah.
If you've got unlimited funds, but you've only got a month to live, what are you doing?
I don't know. I guess I'm seeing as much as I can, doing as much as I can, learning as much as I can, just doing anything. Like if you told me that I would have moved to the UK and learned how to make a bagel, I'd be like, you're kidding, right? But I have. And I've made so many friends doing that. That's awesome. And now I have a skill. And they've even gone like, Zach, would be willing to let you like open up a bagel shop in Australia? And I'm like, I have to ask them. I have to ask my partner about that one. I'm not sure. And she's like, Zach, like, what are you talking about? I'd happily drop everything and do that with you. You're like, oh shit, this is not the kind of like encouragement I needed. But yeah, I mean, I would travel as much as I could, see as much as I could, and do as much as I could, like skydive, fucking rock climb, like learn as many new skills and try and learn languages that I want to learn. Like I know how to speak Japanese, but I'd love to learn how to speak Spanish or Italian or French. You know, like travel around, go back to Japan. I've been to Japan before. It was awesome. Like I would try and experience and do so many things in the month that I had, regardless of the funds. Just do everything. I can. I can't be specific about it because I'd just be like, I literally turn up in the city and be like, what can I do that's cool here? Learn that.
So where's the next stop for you? So you're in the UK for another year or so.
Yes.
Then back to Oz.
Bloody visas.
Then back to Oz. And then what's after Oz? You strike me as someone who kind of wants to, like you say, explore, but where's the next country you're going to for like a couple of years?
I mean, I'm pretty sure when I go back to Australia, I probably won't be going to anywhere soon because I'm probably going to try and buy a house, settle down, and like try and like start a family at least. And so I guess I haven't really thought about the next place I'd go and visit. I'd like to go back to New Zealand though. New Zealand's very pretty. Or even like Hawaii. I guess it's the only part of America I really would go to. Where I know I probably wouldn't get shot. But yeah, I haven't really thought like that far ahead. So you've caught me. You've got me.
That's interesting.
Cheeky. But yeah, like I guess my immediate future has been like thinking about what I'd do once I'm back in Australia, how I'd set myself up, and then go from there.
Do you ever slow down? You seem quite go, go, go.
I mean, I am very go, go, go. I always like to do something. Like I don't like to sit still as much as I'd happily sit still and play video games. But that, to me, is still doing something.
Yeah, you're doing something.
yeah. But I mean, yeah, I've always been like 100% foot to the floor, pedal to the metal, like go. So yeah, I guess like that would be me taking a step back, but I don't know if I'd be able to do that once I get back to Oz, but I'll figure that out once I come to it. Because I definitely want to do those things, and they're a goal of mine. So I guess like I'm very like goal driven and know that if I've got my sights set on something, I'm going to do it. So I guess to settle down, it might be contradictory, but I think I'll be able to do it because I will want to do it.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah. Thanks.
If you kind of, from your years of experiencing kind of NHS and private, or even in kind of like the medical space, what would kind of be your one piece of advice for the general public?
Just be patient with each other. Like, try and be sympathetic or empathetic to someone's situation.
Towards?
Or just like anyone. Like, they might be having a tough day and they're trying to help you out, but say like your appointment's late and you don't know why. You know, and the person can't give you a straight answer. It's because maybe like they might have had someone just die. Or like they might have dealt with someone that's a really difficult person, or has just been yelling at them, and then they try and help you out and go, hey, like, I'm very sorry for the wait. And it's like, yeah, I should have been seen earlier. Like, just have some patience. Or even if you're going to grab a coffee, like, you know, sometimes they might take a long time to make a coffee for you. And yeah, it's just a flat white. How hard can it be? But you don't know what that person's going through, or if there's been like 4 other massive orders of coffee that have just come through. So just take that time to be patient, be sympathetic, be empathetic, and I'm sure people, and even like when they give it to you, just go, thank you very much. You guys are doing great. And it just makes someone's day. The amount of times I've just thanked someone for something, or even like when they go, oh, hi, how can I help you? And I go, oh, hi, how are you? And they go, oh, good, thanks. And just taking that time. I guess that would probably be like my one piece of advice.
Are you happy?
Absolutely. I'm so goddamn happy and ecstatic. Like, I know there's a lot of crazy things going on in the world, but where I am and what I'm doing, I'm so happy. It's so good. And that probably sounds absolutely arrogant and cocky as fuck, but like, I am extremely happy, and I feel like I'm always a very happy person. There's not much things that get me down. Had my mate who's a psychologist go, Zach, I think you're probably the person with the soundest mental health I've ever met. I'm like, oh, whoops.
Whoops.
Sorry, bro. But yeah, I don't know. It's not much that gets me down, but I'm stoked to be here and doing what I'm doing and getting the chance to be here with you, with others that I've met along the way. It's just awesome.
Thank you, Zach.
No, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Anytime. You're more than welcome. Anytime.